This lab has historically worked on snake robots and
The term biorobotics is an extremely loose term that covers a huge field of engineering that involves robots simulating biological organisms. Bio-inspired robots are often more flexible, mobile, safer, and can contain sensor abilities, which make them more applicable to solve problems within the human body. As of right now, much of the research going on involving biorobotics are to provide assistance to accommodate a deficiency. For example, prosthetics are an intersection of biorobotics and neural engineering. By combining these two disciplines, engineers have been able to create prosthetics that read electrical signals from the brain and generate movement in the prosthetic.
Biorobotics is one of the biggest categories of a practice known as biomimetics. Through biomimicry, humans take inspiration from biological systems in order to find solutions to technological problems experienced in the world. Products of biomimetic design include advancements as large as man's first flight, as well as smaller ones like Velcro. Airplane wings and flight techniques were developed after studying birds, bats, and how their anatomy and physiology allows them to take flight and return to land safely. Not all birds are the same, as each species has specific wing shape and size, accommodating for different flight speeds and distances. From this information, scientists at Penn State University were able to develop new airplane wing designs that have the ability to change shape, thus optimizing flight based on speed and distance of travel. Similarly, Velcro was developed after an engineer investigated birds that had stuck to his dog's fur. Those birds had spines with microscopic hooks on their ends that caused them to latch to various materials. By remodeling that system into one where a strip of hook material can fasten to another strip of looped nylon, that engineer invented the Velcro we see used in the world today. There's so much to learn from nature around us.
Now that we know what biorobotics are, the next big question is, how do they work? The robotic operating system is an example of a way to write robot software. It's a collection of software frameworks for robot development. It is quickly becoming the world standard for robotics programming. The robotic operating system mainly uses C++, Python, and Lisp, and can be integrated into a MATLAB toolbox. It takes the code that you write and translates it into a language that can be read by robots. The idea behind the robotic operating system is to create a general purpose mechanism for creating robotic applications. Robots are extremely difficult to control and move, so the robotic operating system acts more of a middleware to help speed up the development process. ROS is like a robot brain in your computer. It has the tools to read and execute nodes, which are responsible for the robot functions. Nodes carry out calculations, connect and understand hardware data, and communicate with other nodes. You can combine your nodes together to perform any function that you want your robot to do, such as movement of an arm or voice recognition. ROS is an extremely flexible and versatile system. You can connect your laptop to sensors, motors, and microcontrollers like Arduino. This allows users to combine several different interfaces in one project, which is very important when building and programming robots.
Biorobotic equipment design, such as that of exoskeletons and prosthetics, has gradually increased in implementation of brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs. BCIs measure the activity of the central nervous system and convert it to an enhanced or altered output. Through this process, the interactions between the brain and the external environment are adjusted. BCI technology is extremely useful when controlling biorobotics because it can directly decode the user's brain activity and use that information to generate movement in a prosthetic or exoskeleton. The main application for BCI technology in biorobotics is to help restore function to people with neurological disorders or disabilities.
When the controller imagines a movement without actually moving, specific neurons in the brain's motor cortex produce electric currents. These currents are detected by electrodes in an EEG cap, which sends the signals to the computer. The computer translates the signal pattern into a command and beams it to the robot via Wi-Fi.
So do you mind introducing yourself in your lab?
course. My name is Vicki Websterwood. I am an assistant professor in mechanical engineering here at CMU with a courtesy appointment in biomedical engineering. And my lab is the Biohybrid and Organic Robotics group. And so what we do is we look at how we can use organic materials as the four fundamental components of robotic systems: the structures, actuators, sensors, and controllers, and then also how we can study those organic materials to inform design guidelines for more traditional bio-inspired robotics.
Okay. And how does computer science or computer programming, affect your research?
So one thing that I like to tell my students is that everybody in the lab has to learn to code, because it is kind of interwoven in almost everything we do. We may have students who are developing their own custom softwares for data analysis or for predictive modeling of materials. We have a number of students who are working on bio-inspired control algorithms. And so in that space, we're looking at kind of two things. On one hand, it's more traditional machine learning algorithms, and the other, we also do a lot of computational neuroscience, where we actually seek to model how actual living biological neural networks are working in computer simulations so that we can do predictive design of robotic controllers.
It's amazing I got into this school.